Welcome to Solar Session. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Amber, and we're
both project coordinators here at Option 1 Solar. And today we're going to be giving you a brief overview of the steps we'll be taking with your project.
2, 1, and liftoff.
Okay, so today we are going to be outlining the steps we'll be taking after you buy a solar system here at Option 1 Solar.
So Natasha, what happens when you first buy a solar system and the project comes to construction department?
Great question, Amber. So the first step we'll be taking is giving the customer a welcome call. And in that welcome call, we give you a brief overview of all the steps we'll be taking within your project. And so you know every step we'll be taking.
What to expect down the road, and timelines, things like that for the project.
Yep.
So during the welcome call, we will introduce ourselves, make it known what is going to happen next, and of course, the following steps in the project. So what happens after the welcome call?
So after the welcome call, you will be contacted by our site survey technician. He'll give you a call, schedule a date that's best, that works best in your schedule, date, time. He'll come out, survey the roof, make sure the proposed location that your sales representative went over can fit on the roof with no issues. He'll also take some photos of your electrical, and if you have an attic, he would like to go in there as well to make sure that we can run the conduit in your attic instead of on the roof, just because it's more of an aesthetic pleasing
Type of conduit run,
yeah, conduit run.
And a fun little thing that happens after the site survey is we have a tool which is called Scanify, and we're able to use that tool to see how the sun adjusts and moves throughout the day, so we can accurately determine how many panels you need and what the production will be throughout the year.
That's pretty neat.
The sales team does use a software to do this, but this Scanify is just a second checker, so it's just to be safe rather than sorry.
So we go out there, double check. Obviously, if we have to move any panels, we make that adjustment in the shade report. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
So what Amber was speaking on, that's what we label as shade report. So if we have to move any panels, let's say the proposed location that your sales representative went over can't fit on there, he changes that in the shade report, and that gives more accurate numbers, just because it can, check up on the winter time, fall, all of that good stuff. So we just want to make sure what the sales representative told you, we can make that happen.
So, Natasha, once the site survey is done, we collect all the photos, all of the documents, the shade report, and we push it over to our plan designer, and he takes a couple of weeks to generate blueprints. It'll show the location of the panels. It'll show how everything is electrically wired. And then from there, we get into the documents that are required by the homeowner in order to proceed.
And do I get to see those plans just to make sure that I like them?
You do get to see the site plan. The site plan is the most important piece. It's going to show you the location of the panels. It's going to show where all the electrical equipment's going to go. And we like to send that to the homeowners so that way they can approve it and say that they like it and that they don't want any other changes made before submitting for a permit.
So
the paperwork that the customer gets will consist of 4 to 5 documents, including the site plan, like we mentioned, which will come with an approval to proceed, which is basically a form that explains that you are okay with this layout and we are good to submit for permitting. We'll include a smoke alarm affidavit, which is from the counties or from the cities, explaining that you need to have all your smoke alarms in the house and your carbon monoxide detectors, and they will not physically need to come in to check. Along with that is the Southern California Edison documents. And what are those about?
So the Southern California Edison documents, that's going to outline what exact solar system you're getting with us. We input all of that into the documents, send it your way. You review it and sign. You'll be signing the name that's listed on the utility bill just so we can submit that to Edison after we install and after we pass your final solar inspection.
Would you say it's common that homeowners have their spouses on their utility bills or their parents or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So we see everyone's name on there, friends, family,
Yeah.
all of that. So that's the biggest piece too, is that we need them to sign to continue the process with Edison with no disruptions.
And does it make a difference who's on the utility bill?
No, not at all. So what matters is the solar is on your home, and you're going to be receiving the credits. You're going to be receiving the app. It doesn't matter whose name is on the bill. Whoever owns the home, paying for the bills, that's the only person that would be
Getting the credits.
Yeah, getting the credits
from Edison.
Yeah. If you want to change anything throughout the process, it's never too late. But the issue with that is after we create your plans and we submit it for permitting, the biggest thing is delays. So if you're okay with waiting additional weeks, possibly months, to continue throughout the process, then, we can change it. If not, I would advise to get all of those questions, concerns,
Adders.
adders, spoken
changes.
to about with either us or your sales rep, just so we know for sure what you want moving forward.
And what's an adder?
So an adder can be, it's a broad term. So it can be a generation meter adapter that happens with Edison. It can be a roofing quote or trenching.
Or a battery.
Specific. Let's say you want a specific type of color. I don't know. Color for what?
Color tile.
Yeah, color
or
tile.
If you want to add additional panels, or if you feel like you are missing something, these are the kinds of questions that we like to get the sooner the better, because it will help us continue the process more rapidly
And effectively.
Yes.
So we went over adders, and I just
Yeah.
want to know and just make sure, is it ever too late to add anything to the project?
It's never too late. The only concern is we'd like to get our projects in and out as soon as possible, so you're reaping the benefits of any solar and you're able to cut your utility bill. Having the adders will most likely elongate the timeline of the project. So the
I
sooner
can
the
understand
better.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, quick note on the adder, since it's so broad. So a quick note on the adder. It's never too late, like Amber had said, but each adder is different. So if it's a battery, obviously we have to attach that to the permit. If it's adding more panels, we got to attach it to the permit. Generation meter adapter, that's a way longer process with Edison that we'll have to be taking.
Yes.
Every adder is different, so I advise to, question your project coordinator or your sales representative and get more information on it. If you're working with timelines, I would think about that as well.
So once the customers approve their layout and sign their documents, what's the next step?
So once you sign your plan design, your approval to proceed, we're notified to send it to our engineering team. And our engineering team, they give us calculations on your plans to make sure we can install on your roof. The integrity of your roof will hold the panels. Any snow loads, rare in the high desert. It's mainly for, down the hill.
Yes.
Places like that. So we need to get engineering calculations. It takes about a day or two, depends on the complexity of the project. But once we receive the engineering calculations, we go ahead and submit to your county or your city, or what we like to say, AHJ, authorities having jurisdiction.
An HOAs are fun. They're always different. Every HOA, every location, every city is always going to be a little bit different as far as HOAs go. Project coordinators do have a hand in your HOA approval. However, majority of the time, it does tend to fall on the homeowner for responsibility as far as reaching out, finding out what is required of us to get an HOA approval, if they need the plans, if they need just the proposal, if there's an application that needs to be signed. Oftentimes, you can see that you may need other homeowners' signatures.
Yeah.
And then it takes a couple of weeks. Like I mentioned, every HOA is a little bit different.
Yep.
So what's your experience with some HOAs? What's some HOAs that you have been like, oh, wow.
Yeah, so my biggest thing with HOAs, like she had mentioned, every HOA is different. So I would advise go to your HOA, figure out the requirements, and speak to us about it. They can cause some, what's the word?
Hiccups?
Yeah, we can just say hiccups. So HOAs can cause hiccups sometimes with the plan design. So typically you turn in the plan design to them. They have their architectural committee overviewing them, making sure they agree with it. Sometimes they don't allow you to have the panels on the front of your house facing the street. So that's an issue. Also, they don't want any of our equipment to be located on the outside of your home, where your main service panel is usually located.
Yeah.
So you do have to be mindful. We would have to put it in your garage, somewhere where it's hidden from the eye. So I would just advise looking into that. Give a call to your representative at your HOA office. Figure out those requirements. If not, you can always send us the requirements in a PDF form, and we have no problem overviewing them, making sure we're compliant, and making sure that it's a quick and easy process.
Nice. So what's the worst experience that you've had with an HOA? Or the most difficult? Because I haven't had too many bad experiences with an HOA.
I haven't had any bad experiences, but I would say I've had it prolong us to actually getting to the install by a couple, 5 to 6 months of problems working with them about it. Yep. So again, it just falls into the homeowner doing some digging, learning, if your neighbor has solar, ask how their experience was. Maybe ask them, did you run into any problems? What should I let my solar company know?
I haven't had too many bad experiences with an HOA. I think.
Then what would be the easiest HOA you've worked with?
I would say probably Silver Lakes HOA, or even Jess Ranch HOA up here in the high desert.
Yes.
Pretty simple. Just need some signatures from the homeowners. Send it in, and it's smooth sailing.
Yep.
So if the plan's unapproved for permitting, what happens?
So when you're in the permitting process with your jurisdiction, city, county, any issues that we may have would be corrections. So it's definitely not a disapproval of the permit. They can't do that. It's more or less them giving us corrections to make on your plans for them to get approved. So we get those corrections. We're notified via email. Or they have a portal electronically that we submit plans to.
Or sometimes we have to go in person.
Yeah. So either way, we'll be notified. We'll be notified, and then we'll give the corrections to our plan designer, Adrian. He'll make the corrections. I would say 1 to 2 weeks to get those corrections back and made and submitted back to the HJ for additional review. So that can cause a delay, but we do work with many jurisdictions, so we typically have no problems with getting, first-time approval with no corrections.
Yes. Another thing I wanted to add to this was if you have unpermitted equipment on your property, this will also cause a big issue with these solar plans, because if you want your solar panels to go on your patio cover or on your different structures such as a carport or a garage or a shed or whatever the case may be, that equipment has to be approved and already issued from the jurisdiction itself. So an example I have is I had a customer who wanted to put her panels on her patio cover that was connected to her house, but unfortunately it wasn't permitted. So what we did was move all of her panels to her garage, which actually helped with her production, ironically enough. And we got everything permitted and finalized and had no problems.
Even with the unpermitted structure, you can move your panels somewhere else and get them approved?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. Some jurisdictions are going to have certain regulations and rules that you have to follow in order to get these things permitted and get our own solar permit. So, like, for example, the County of Los Angeles, they are extremely picky, as we both know.
Yeah.
They will not let us get a solar permit if there's any unpermitted items on the property at all. So it really just comes down to location.
Yeah.
And what's unpermitted, how hard it is to get permitted. Yeah.
So the note to take away from Amber is make sure everything is permitted, and it doesn't even have to be with solar that you add onto your property. If you add anything to your property and the city has to come out and inspect it, they're gonna call you on your unpermitted stuff. So
Yep.
It could cause issues with you getting anything on your home.
Yeah. Permitting is
Golden.
fun. So what's the most uncommon adder that you've gotten in your projects since you've been a project coordinator?
I would say nothing is uncommon for me. I do it all. Whatever you want me to do, that's what I'm here for.
Well, I think...
What about you, Amber?
No, I think the most uncommon for me is...
Oh, actually, I did
know.
have one. The most uncommon request I think I've had is probably one of our customers needing all of our technicians' IDs before we come out and install.
Yes. Yes,
So-
and vaccination cards.
And vaccination cards.
And even booties to cover your shoes before you entered the house.
That's pretty common.
Think so?
Yeah.
I've never had a project do that.
Yeah.
Is that my phone?
Yeah, your phone's going off. Do you want to check it or?
Customers text me all day, every day.
Oh.
I feel like I have like a million.
Friends, you got a million
You
friends.
should put that on camera. Like, oh, you're getting a text from a customer.
Oh, yeah. We should have. So, Amber, after we finally receive the permit and we get into the install phase, how does that work? Do you call me? How many days does it take? Can you explain that?
Yeah, of course. So this is the most exciting part about getting solar. Every time we tell a
Yes.
customer they get their permit, they're so excited, as are we. Scheduling comes down to our management. Your project coordinators are not going to make the schedule. We will relay the schedule. We will
do
schedule
not.
your install or your inspections. But the install, it averages out to 1 to 2 days, depending on your equipment, depending on your amount of panels, if you're
Makes
having
sense.
roofing done, anything
Yeah.
like that. It takes about 2 weeks to get on to the install calendar after we pull a permit. And then from there, we install and we have inspections.
And what inspections are needed?
Oh, this also varies depending on the jurisdiction.
Yes.
The most common, and it's going to happen at everyone, is the final inspection. They'll come out, they'll get all the equipment, they'll make sure it was installed properly according to the plans, everything like that. More uncommon ones are probably with the main service panel upgrade. When you get a main service panel upgrade, they obviously rip out your old one,
Yeah.
put in a new one, so you're going to have a stucco around that's going to need to be replaced. A lot of jurisdictions want to look at the lath, which is the little metal stuff underneath the stucco itself. And they'll want to look at that, and then they'll want to do a rough electrical inspection. What else?
So I would just say too, if you just have a solar panel installation, that's it. It's typically one inspection. If you have any adders, like Amber was saying, a main service panel upgrade, there's more inspections to follow, batteries
Yes.
as well. So it just really depends on what you're getting with us, and we of course will let you know what inspections are needed so you're well prepared. Ooh. So
A failed inspection. A failed inspection. Sometimes what we like to do is schedule the inspection for the same day because our crews are very fast. If you have like 16 to 20 panels, they will most likely take half a day to install. And then the second half is for the inspection. But sometimes the inspector decides to show up early in the morning and
Yep.
we don't pass because the panels aren't on or the guys just weren't ready. So we have to reschedule. Other things may be...
let's say we didn't put a sticker on. It seems silly, but we cannot pass because of that.
Yes.
Inspectors, they go out there, they want to point out anything they can to not pass. I mean, their main concern too is to make sure we installed it correctly so you have no issues as a homeowner. Other ways is just because they just like to find things that will make us fail. But if we do fail with that, of course, we'll come out, fix it, and recall your inspection ASAP.
Yes.
So we can get you finalized with that jurisdiction, and we move on to submitting the inspection card to Edison. That's the last step of your project with moving parts.
Yeah.
We submit the inspection card to Edison and those documents you had signed with us in the beginning of your project.
Yes.
And how long does that typically take to get permission to operate, and what is that?
So permission to operate is receiving credits for the overproduction from your solar system. You're going to be using Edison at night, which is commonly mistaken. A lot of customers think that once you get solar, you never use Edison ever again, which is just not true. You will have to use Edison at night because solar works in real time, right?
Yep.
So if it works in real time, you're obviously not going to be producing solar at night because there's no sun out.
There's no sun.
So that's where those credits come in from Edison. That's what that application is for. We will refer to it as PTO, which is just short for permission to operate. It takes about 10 business days for Southern California Edison to review the actual application itself. From there, there is a couple things that can happen. What are those things?
So 10 days, typical time frame. It can be sooner. We've seen it come back in less than 24 hours, which is amazing, right? But sometimes it doesn't. Takes that 10 business days. We typically tell the customer if you have just a solar panel installation, let's say less than 20 panels, then you'll get permission to operate within 10 days. If there are no issues on the application, let's say we put a letter wrong, they're gonna put it back to us to resubmit. But 10 days typical. But if you do have adders like a battery, a generation meter adapter, or 50 plus panels, 40 plus panels, you can experience an additional 10 to 20 more business days for you to get permission to operate.
Which this is called technical review.
Technical
So
review,
sending it to technical review just means that they're gonna look into it a little bit deeper, make sure that the equipment is installed, is verified, and all of it is installed how we say it is.
Correct,
And another common misconception is that Edison will come out to the property to take a look at everything, and that will not happen. Everything that happens with Edison is remote. You will also be on any emails that comes from Edison. So everything that we're seeing in regards to Edison, you'll see in regards to Edison. Whatever emails you receive, we'll receive, obviously. And if there's any corrections or anything like that, and you have questions, that's what we're here for. We can always answer.
Yep. And just to clarify too, when we submit the inspection card to Edison, it's all electronic, like Amber had said. But you will receive those emails right away. So you'll see that we submitted it. You'll see any progress updates on it. You'll see when you receive permission to operate. So you're updated along with us. Any corrections, we're on top of it. But yeah.
We do aftercare emails. So you will get a form of aftercare from Option 1 Solar from your project coordinator. We typically do a closeout call to see if there's any remaining questions or concerns that you have, if there's any issues with your monitoring site that you may need some guidance with or something like that. And then we'll send you some aftercare documents. We always want the homeowner to have their permit, their approved job card, their plans. So that way, if you do have future work done, you can refer to these documents. If the county or whatever says that there's no permit, you can say, actually, there is.
Yep.
Here it is.
Yeah.
It is in a form of an email. We'll send it to you. You'll have it for your records. And if you ever need it, again, you can't find the email, reach out to us and we will have it to send again.
Also, in the aftercare binder, we always include informational documents which really help you, such as panel cleaning services, how to clean your panels. Your contract will be in there. Your final invoice will be in there. Tax information will be in there. Project directory is in there, so you can find who your project coordinator is, who your sales representative is. If you need to speak to anyone in particular, you'll find that all in there. So we love to give that to you as a customer, so you have everything for your records, and that we're here if you need us.
So, with permission to operate, what happens once you get PTO? Do you start receiving credits immediately? Or does your bill come the next day? Or what does that look like?
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think of a good way to say this. Okay. Great question, Amber. So, after you receive permission to operate, that date that you receive it on is called your annual date. So, you need to keep that in your records, remember it, because that date next year, that is your annual bill date. And if you owe anything to Edison, you will pay it then. If you don't, and of course, we offset your system here at Option 1 Solar, so you shouldn't. But if you don't, it's going to be coming in the form of a negative balance. Those are your credits, and they will roll over to the next year. In between those months, though, what Edison does do, which I think is great, is they give you monthly statements that show you how well your solar is covering your consumption. If you have any credits, it'll show, like I said, in a negative balance. And it will say in bold letters, do not pay. This is a monthly statement. It'll also outline what month you're on. So 1 out of 12, 2 out of 12, so on and so forth. But what I would like to make clear is you do have a monthly connection fee to Edison.
For your first year.
For your first year, that's about $15 to $20. It ranges, and that'll be on your last page of your bill, labeled as a non-bypassable surcharge. Only for the first year, which is,
Pretty
sucks, but the second year, your credits cover you. So either way, you're covered in your second year, and you should be, have a lot of credits by then to cover that small charge.
Yeah, and something I want to add to this is how Natasha explained you don't want to pay your monthly bill. If you do, for whatever reason, see that you, in the summertime, the highest peak month, you owe $20. If you pay that bill, it is defeating the purpose of those credits because that's why the 12 months is set up for you. If you pay it the $20, you don't give yourself the opportunity to cover that money with your credits. So even though you may be positive or have a positive balance for $20 in July, in August you may be negative 40, which will cover your $20 plus allow you another $20. Another $20 of spending or using.
What we didn't cover, Amber, that I just realized is what happens if there's a problem with my solar. Does a project coordinator take care of that, or who takes care of that? Who do I call?
Yeah, good question. So you can always reach out to your project coordinator. We're always here. That's what we do. We are here to assist the customers and make everything go smooth and so you can have a great experience. We do have a technical support department. Our technical support department will schedule any service calls that need to be made, any panels that may be not reporting on your app, anything like that. That is a technical support issue, and we will direct you straight to them. They're a great department. They take care of our service calls quickly, I would say within a couple of weeks. If it's more urgent, within a couple of days. And they take care of all of that. But they will also go over it more in a future episode.
So stay tuned to Solar Session.
So once your install is complete, same day, you'll get set up with your monitoring. You'll get a link to your email. You will then set up your account, which has already been created for you. You just need to enter your password in. And then what do you even see on the app? Like what happens?
So when we send you the app, it comes from Enphase Enlighten. We, as project coordinators, just to help you, the customer, out, we send you a link that comes from Enphase as well. It's a homeowner demo video, and it explains how to navigate the app, how to understand the different functions that you see. So I would advise watch that video. It should answer all of your questions. If it doesn't, feel free to give us a call, or you can give our monitoring or technical department a call. Thanks for tuning into our solar session. This is Natasha.
And Amber.
And we're signing out. Like
and subscribe for more information like this.